For the first time, UNI Valorant will play on the national stage. Will their postseason dreams rebound on this big stage, or will they head into the summer winless? Hello, UNI Panther fans and Valorant fans alike. Welcome to the NECC D5 National Round 1 matchup, where your 10th ranked UNI Panthers from Cedar Falls, Iowa will face off once again against the 7th ranked St. Ambrose University Fighting Bees from Davenport, Iowa. Thank you for joining us on a very exciting Monday night. My name is Hunter. Joining me once again in the booth and production is Berkey. Berkey, how you doing today? We're back at it again.
I'm doing pretty good, Hunter. I'm surprised I'm back this soon, but hey, I'm here when I need to be. I think this is going to be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, this is the third, I think, rematch between these two teams. Of course, they faced once off in the regular season. They played for the third round match. Both of the times, St. Ambrose took the win. So it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. So maybe UNI finally, for the third time, can pull this one out. And as we look on the screen here, the starters for UNI is going to be Favelet, Pop-Tart, Mr. Sirclaps, Raging Remy, and Beefman. While St. Ambrose will have DZ, Ubi, Tones, Wavecheck, and not Bert. We're going into Lotus, Berkey. UNI defending first. What's your thoughts?
I feel like for Lotus, UNI has a very strong defense, especially with Pop-Tart playing that BC site role. He very much so plays between the two, which I think is very strong. They can definitely have a few more numbers towards that A site area. But as we've seen before, St. Ambrose has a very strong offense, so this is kind of like UNI's revenge map, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely, and especially with Lotus in the regular season, UNI winning 80% of the time, so I feel like this was UNI's pick here to play on Lotus. So we're looking for a really strong defense paired with an even better offense, in my opinion, from this UNI team. However, like you've mentioned before, Berkey, the offense is very big for the St. Ambrose Fighting Bees squad.
Oh yeah, no, and then especially on a map like this, 3 sites, it really stretches out your defense. Really makes this a very attack-sided map, which I believe St. Ambrose will use to their advantage completely. And it looks like they will be taking C sites.
Oh, and already 2 go down to a couple ghosts. Pop-Tart, Beefman go down as the bomb is planted. And UNI is going to have to retake from here. Favelet, though, gets the shot off on Wavecheck.
And not Bert is going to be pretty low, down to 8 HP. And he's also going to be pretty low.
Mr. Sirclap's going to try to take out Ubi, can't. Remy gets the trade, though, and it's going to be a 2v3. Make that a 2v2! And both members of St. Ambrose low. DZ finds one. DZ's down to 1 HP. Got Remy around the corner. Bomb! Oh, DZ's good for 3. We got already at an exciting first little round.
Pretty impressive. That was a pretty good retake attempt from UNI. I think just maybe a little bit more coordination needs to be communicated, especially from that Favelet and Raging Remy swing. Favelet swung the guy main, and Raging Remy was just not ready to try and trade him.
All missiles away.
And already out the gate, it's going to be a little A push here, but St. Ambrose will go ahead and wrap back around as Mr. Sirclap's going to hold that corner against Ubi.
Locating target.
And so far, so good. These rotations out on attack for St. Ambrose have been pretty strong.
definitely have the advantage of working the map, especially with that neon pick. They can fast rotate very, very easily.
And it will be able to take out Fablet for the first try. Pop-Tart goes down as well, and wave check with 2 in quick succession, and we're seeing the same kind of scenario play out like we did in the bronze medal matchup here, Berkey. UNI going down quickly.
It looks like almost Beefman and Pop-Tart kind of lined up if you're looking at the mini-map, which is just very unfortunate. It gives that easy 2 kills for sure.
Mr. Sir claps off screen with the Headhunter, able to take out one member of St. Ambrose. And UNI got a tall order here if they want to get the retake.
Granted, I think UNI might just be looking to try and get some guns out or get some damage in, which they've gotten one Bulldog and they've done a good bit of damage. Make that 2 guns now.
Yeah. Oh, was that planned? Do you think?
Yes. So actually, whenever you die to bomb, you get a little bit more money. And so I believe Raging Remy was just purely trying to get as much of a financial advantage going into this next round, especially on their bye round. They need this round.
Yeah, of course, St. Ambrose taking the 2 pistol rounds, which, again, pretty uncharacteristic for UNI. They're usually pretty strong on these early pistol rounds. However, not this time. And UNI going to have to stare down a push here for St. Ambrose.
And they're going to be taking a lot of that A main space, trying to get them to rotate once again.
But I feel like at this point, I know hindsight's, 2020 here, Berkey, but when does UNI recognize that rotate around and then start pushing people towards the B and C side?
It all depends on how typically St. Ambrose plays. UNI is not going to want to try and over-rotate here. They want to try and keep as many players towards those heavier pushed sites, especially when no noise is being heard at the other ones quite yet.
Here we go again, a rotation out to C site where it's just Pop-Tart. St. Ambrose trying to get a couple tags off as wave check will go ahead and get the plant. And a nice headshot by Pop-Tart. Oh, DZ with the answer. DZ with 2. 3 members go down. 4 members total.
Pop-Tart with 2.
It's going to be a 2v2.
Last player standing.
It's a 1v1. Around the little mound for wave check.
Pop-Tart gets 4.
Nice shot.
This is a huge round for UNI, especially for Pop-Tart getting 4 there. Getting UNI's first round early this game.
Well, he's got enough time. Yeah, he's got plenty of time to get the defuse, but... Oh, man. Yeah, like you said, Berkey, it's really important here that UNI go ahead and get the win on the buy round, especially on the force buy. So maybe they can go ahead and capitalize off that. I know Eco's kind of important here for St. Ambrose as well. So.
Well, and unfortunately, UNI is going to be on a very broken buy because since that was their buy round, a lot of people don't have the funds to buy again. So we'll see a lot of util, a lot of sheriffs, things like that.
All missiles away.
Whereas for St. Ambrose, this is their official second buy round of this half.
And it looks like they're going to commit to A. Burt taking out Mr. Circlaps there, who was kind of holding the choke point. And Raging Remy trying to escape can't because Tones is right there.
Now it's going to be Fablet alone on site, gets taken down by DZ. It's going to be a 1v5 retake for Beefman and Pop-Tart.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, Beefman, though, with the Bucky, finally finds one. However, he gets traded out by Tones. And it's all going to come down to Pop-Tart.
Irrelevant.
Oh, he gets one. He gets two.
He gets two. That's good. That's good. Especially, like we said, St. Ambrose being on their second buy round, getting as many weapons out as they can is pretty important.
Now going into round 5 here in map 1, UNI looking at a 2-round deficit. And I feel like Eco plays a little bit heavy here, especially in these early rounds, wouldn't you say, Berkey? Or...
Oh, 100%. Your Eco is as important in these early rounds as actually getting the round win. And Mr. Cyclops with the first pick off of Ubi. But we will see them pushing Pop-Tart here.
And they know he's going to be in that waterfall section, going to go ahead and smoke him off. But here comes the rotate around. Now it's the Tejo ult.
Spike planted.
And no value there. And now UNI is going to use their Tejo ult as Mr. Circlaps is going to be good for 1. Mr. Circlaps good for 3. Pop-Tart trying to chase around the corner for Tones. No, gets taken out by not Bert. Mr. Circlaps, though, able to get his 4th. And a really nice retake for the side of UNI. Of course, you commit 2 ultimates there with, I believe the phase.
3.
Oh, they did 3. Oh.
Rise ult, Teo ult, and Fade ult. They did a
But,
counter
I mean...
Teo ult, which can avoid the plant. And then that Vise ult allows for a good retake along with that Fade ult. Very expensive round from UNI, but it guaranteed them the win.
And they're pushing it to a 1-round deficit. And it looks like they're going to be down B long for the side of St. Ambrose, where Beefman's going to be set up here on the defense.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of a default coming from St. Ambrose here.
Mr. Circlaps already getting first bloods. Beefman trying to poke through. A lot of audio cues coming here as Mr. Circlaps able to get another one. It looks like the bomb's finally being picked up, but Favelet with the Outlaw.
I was wondering when we were going to see a Favelet Outlaw.
Oh, he missed that one shot on Tones. Finally gets the second one.
Wave check is low.
I wonder at what point. As there you go, Favelet with the Outlaw finds 3 and ties it up 3-3 in map 1.
Definitely a huge last 2 rounds for UNI. Tying it up here. We saw St. Ambrose was on a save that round, so it looks like their economy is going to be pretty hurt. No ultimates up, it looks like either team. So it should just be a pretty fair, even round here.
With this, again, UNI committing a lot of util there at that entrance down the A side, but it looks like St. Ambrose is going to rotate out and around. It's going to come down to UNI realizing that it's going to be another C push.
So they already put Beefman towards that C site, and we left Favelet alone on A, it seems, so I believe they anticipated that rotate.
Yeah, now it's going to be a rotation on the rotation, Berkey, as it looks like they're going to go back to the A site.
My favorite game of Valorant. Rotates and counter rotates.
Path of least resistance, for sure.
Not ready yet.
Just fast and forth. Oh, and Favelet gets Tones, but DZ trades him out.
Ubi to pick up Mr. Circlaps as well. As the spike gets planted, it's going to be a 3v4 retake for UNI. Already waiting patiently there on the heaven side is Pop-Tart. Some smoke's going out as DZ will finally take out Pop-Tart on that heaven side.
You see Beefman working his way up main. Raging Remy getting a pick.
And wave check.
Shutting them down.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there is UNI really needed to coordinate with Pop-Tart. Since he had the vision on heaven, he would have the most information on where St. Ambrose players are. And I feel like if you coordinated a little bit better with especially Remy and Beefman, you would have 3 different angles against those 4 defenders there on the retake. I feel like if you and I talked a little bit more, they would have been able to at least get a couple more kills and at least, you know, save in the eco side of things. However, I feel like that might have cost him that round.
Especially with Beefman pushing up main. We had 2 Mr. Claps with the pick on Burt. With 2 pushing up that A heaven for that retake, we needed that communication with our main player. Pop-Tart gets Ubi. It's gonna be a 5v3 for UNI.
Oh, but Beefman knows that DZ's there, and if Beefman can pick it up as he's stunned.
Pop-Tart with 2.
Beefman's gonna try and track down DZ. Favelet, though, able to finally pick up DZ. Favelet able to get the pen kill on Tones. And with that, a really nice retake from UNI.
Oh, very nice. Only losing 1 gun there. That's pretty huge for them.
And the other thing to note, too, is that if UNI can force St. Ambrose on the C site retake, typically we've seen during the regular season, UNI masterfully retake C. However, against the St. Ambrose team, it's a little bit different. We see that we're kind of tied 4-4 right now. So it's kind of like 50-50 on these C retakes. But I still feel like that's their best odds of winning Lotus, is if they get that C site retake here early.
I believe that's why they're fighting so heavily A main to try and push St. Ambrose towards that C site, knowing that it's their best retake option.
But it's going to be a heavy-handed A for St. Ambrose. They're stacked up in the entrance. They'll go ahead and go through as Mr. Circlaps gets one. Notbert finally picks him up. They get past the entrance towards the rock, and UNI is going to have to back around here and focus on a retake. However, they have not passed tree yet, which I thought, considering how they entered, they were going to be a lot more aggressive. But a nice drone.
A very big
Tons
drone.
of information.
Getting 3 with that drone, huge.
Location revealed on the Tones drone. They're on Clove, but Remy doesn't care. He finds 1 in heaven. Tones is going to res himself. Not Burke taking out 1 with the Guardian. Raging again. Finds 1. Tones.
Tones gets the trade. He is still alive.
And it all comes down to Pop-Tart and Ubi. And interesting to see Neon here as Pop-Tart's going to fake the defuse.
Move faster.
It's going to be a reaction play. Nope. Can't quite get it. And I feel like maybe that wasn't the right play. I don't know. Berkey, you're more experienced here. Would you
I believe that he
done that play
should
different?
have tapped 1 more time. He definitely still had enough time to tap just 1 more time, especially knowing that Ubi has to be playing backside, considering he pushed through tree and he heard Ubi drop off of zip. So he knew that Ubi had to be backside. Tapping again would have been definitely the best play. But of course, in the moment, your goal is to try and defuse as fast as possible.
Here we go. It's a hard B push now. As Mr. Circlaps on the other side, able to pick up 2. It's all going to come down as UNI's closing out with the flankers. Favelet able to take out Ubi.
DZ's low.
One enemy remaining.
Pop-Tart getting tones and DZ. Flawless round for UNI.
And what a well-executed reaction there as St. Ambrose was going in hard on that B site. And UNI was able to recognize that it was going to be a full B push. So the flankers on A and C were able to get around, get a couple kills. Very well-executed defense for UNI right there in that round. And we are tied 5-5 in map 1.
Oh, very well done indeed. And unfortunately, it just looks like St. Ambrose, they knew that that buys wall was there. It just looks like they didn't fully communicate their push onto that B site. We're gonna see Remy with the Odin spam on A. That Odin spam is absolutely diabolical.
It is. And is there a lot of Odin plays as DZ is going to go ahead and get the pick on Pop-Tart here? We can debrief here in a minute. But my question to you when we get back from this action is, like, is there a lot of Odin plays on Lotus? But as the spike gets planted, Mr. Circlaps is going to finally pick up DZ. That's early, or huge on this early retake. Mr. Circlaps again, good for another. Gonna go ahead, use the Tejo ult, clear the space, wave check. Gonna get tagged. Beefman tries to work around the corner. He finds one. Remy finds two. And what a well-executed retake here for UNI.
There was a lot going on. I almost couldn't keep up. People were just people were dropping left and right, you know. And so you were asking about those Odin plays. I mean, you don't see him as much as you think you would, especially with that that A wall in Tree being so thin and easy to wall bang with an Odin. It's usually, you typically more see A main being taken space-wise, and you won't see that Odin spray usually as much. It's definitely a rough one to try and play around, especially because you get perfect sights onto that A main.
Looks like it's going to be another C push for St. Ambrose. At least that's what they're committing a lot of util to. However, Favelet, though, with the op, finally going to find Not Burt. And I was wondering when we were going to see a Favelet sniper come out. As Mr. Circlaps. Holy.
Like I said at the beginning, this is UNI's revenge game. They lost twice. They want their win. They want their get back.
Absolutely. It's hard to beat a good team 3 times in a row. And UNI trying to crawl back from this one. The largest deficit was 2 in the early rounds with St. Ambrose, but Raging Remy with the Odin gonna spray down tones. However, Wave Check finally picks out Remy.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think UNI, if they focus in, maybe they might get the win, but they're gonna have to execute very well here, especially on Lotus.
I definitely agree.
Last player standing.
Oh, Pop-Tart gunning down Ubi. Less than 10 seconds to plant. And Wave Check finally taking out Mr. Circlaps. However, Favelet getting the final kill on Wave Check. And again, the largest deficit we've seen between any 2 teams is 2. Maybe UNI can push it to 3.
Maybe if UNI can get this pistol round here, I think that would be really good for them. Especially since after the 3rd place match against St. Ambrose, I think UNI didn't get either of their pistol rounds against them. Is that correct?
Correct. Which is also very uncharacteristic of UNI. So having them bounce back here, it's really nice to see, considering how we're gonna get to the half here soon.
I'm curious to see how this map plays out. I wonder if UNI can put together a strong offense.
Looks like Beefman gonna go ahead, try and defense here on C. Or excuse me. Oh, it is the half. Oh, it's pistol rounds. Oh my goodness.
Raging Remy with the first pick on wave check. That's gonna be pretty huge.
Yeah, as we're walking into round 13, just a really nice, well-executed C plant. St. Ambrose going to go through Waterfall. Beefman's the one holding it out long. Finally takes out not Burt, but gets headshot by, or excuse me, gets taken out by DZ. Favelet and Mr. Circlaps get the answer to 2, and it all comes down with DZ with the headhunter. Finds 1, but Favelet able to wrap him up.
And we will see UNI getting their pistol round in.
Hopefully they can go ahead and execute on the pistol rounds as well. The one thing that I've noticed is that if UNI can do a strong defense, especially on the latter half of the regular season, their offenses have been really good. So going above 2 into the half, I think that's very meaningful. And with that pistol round right there, hopefully that sets the tone for the rest of this half.
Yeah, I believe they definitely needed that pistol round to keep the drive going. For sure.
Remy able to find 1 with the bot. Beefman with a nice plant in the back corner.
Unfortunately, our 2 mound players, it's not planted for them, but we're on our bye, so I believe they should be okay.
And again, it's going to be through Waterfall. DZ finds 1. Mr. Circlaps finds 1 as well. Favelet finds 2. And Pop-Tart with 2 as well.
What a round.
What'd you
for
think of
UNI.
that?
I mean, I think UNI lost a lot of guns, but granted, they were playing against a lot of strong util from St. Ambrose. Teo and Gecko Molly, along with Vi's Flash and Thorns, which I don't believe we had any Vi's Thorns that round, but those Mollies are definitely very difficult to play around, especially if you get blinded.
So UNI pushing the largest advantage so far this series. Currently at a 4-round advantage, 9-5.
I think this is pretty huge for UNI. I think they definitely needed this to really get the drive going.
And I feel like St. Ambrose needs to do a better job at reacting to the C-site push, because that's all we've seen so far in the first 3 rounds.
Well, and Mr. Sirkop with the first pick.
Able to underhand a grenade throw through the smoke. Creating some nice spaces. Beefman gets the plant.
He was also
And it's
able
gonna
to get a gun, which is going to be pretty huge for this map.
Oh, and if he was just a little bit more patient, he would have gotten Ubi as well. However, Favelet takes out Ubi and DZ.
And Remy gets combed.
UNI pushing it to a... Oh, go ahead.
No, by all means.
UNI pushing it to a 5-game advantage. Weren't you going to say that?
I was going to say something similar. I was also going to add that
absolutely.
They won their bonus round. Something you don't typically see here from any team, really. Winning your bonuses like that is very difficult in the world of Valorant.
Right, well, hopefully UNI can kind of close it out from here. Of course, I don't want to caster curse anything, but we'll see.
Let's not do that quite yet. Right? We still got...
Oh, I mentioned it already, Berkey. I don't know.
Oh, man.
As the bot will go ahead, get Tone's location revealed here on A site. UNI committing past the entryway. Gonna flip open the door to tree where Tones finds 1, gets traded out by Pop-Tart.
This is definitely going to be difficult. UNI has to definitely make sure of their corners, especially with St. Ambrose on this save round. Favlet with 2.
Doing a really nice job.
Not ready yet.
Beefman trying to go ahead, get on point. He will try and get not Burt, and he does. Kind of fakes the plant. What a real nice play.
I don't even know if that was intentional, really.
Shh, we'll say it is.
Yeah, we'll give him the credit and say it was definitely an intentional thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Immortal who? You know? As Pop-Tart will go ahead and get the final kill on that round. UNI pushing it to a 6-game deficit. You know, the last time they tied was at 5-5, and since then they've gone on a 6-game run. So I guess a 6-round run. So congrats to UNI there.
Oh yeah, the drive is definitely there, especially after they knew they could finally tie it up. And they want this win. They definitely want this win. When they found out that they were gonna be facing St. Ambrose once again, they were ready. They said, "This is our turn."
Absolutely, as UNI again flashing that C push. However, we got Pop-Tart on the flank. That's his MO, is the flank play. And especially if a well-timed flank can come out as wave check with the op now. Gonna take out Mr. Surclaps. So that's a lot of value for St. Ambrose with that early pick on Mr. Surclaps.
Especially with Mr. Surclaps having the ultimate there, having that raise rocket, definitely is gonna make this a little more challenging.
Oh, and with the way that UNI was waiting, I almost guarantee you that maybe that's what they were going to initiate with.
Oh, I definitely agree.
30 seconds
As it looks
left.
like Pop-Tart's flank is going to continue to be a flank, as it's going to be a B push.
Oh, and he's
Going to be a fight on point. Wave check with another. Beefman able to take out one as well. And Favlet, good for another. And Pop-Tart, again, just a full host of people here on site, able to get a couple pickups as Pop-Tart gets one as well, another one as well.
Favlet picks up wave check with the op.
Match point.
And maybe if you're St. Ambrose, if I was wave check, I would have tried to save the op as much as possible. Now we know that Favlet has the op, or at least that's who should have the op.
We all know when Favlet gets an op in his hands, it's usually not a fun time for anyone playing against him.
Right then, let's go kill them.
And it looks like, unfortunately, St. Ambrose is going to be on a forcing buy round with a couple saves that they definitely didn't really want to have, but couldn't necessarily help.
Oh, and look at this well-executed rotate come out from St. Ambrose. All these teams, or all the team members going to be on that A side heaven as UNI is going to go ahead and push through. DZ down to 1 HP, gets taken out. Wave check taking out Favlet though.
Wave check getting out Mr. Surclaps, but Beefman gets Gooby.
One enemy remaining.
Tone's able to pick up 2. In Beef we trust. He's got 1.
He gets 2.
He's got 2. Gonna go ahead, he'll rotate
He doesn't have
back
bomb,
over to B.
but he's just trying to get that clove.
One enemy remaining.
And now he's got it back to a 1v1. Both of them are low. In Beef,
30
we do
seconds left.
trust. Where Wave Check's gonna be expecting him here.
Really though?
Oh,
He
maybe
doesn't know
not.
where he
Where he teleported
went to.
Yeah.
And Beefman gonna catch him out.
Beefman with 4. And that's gonna be a UNI win against St.
Nice
Ambrose.
job. Nice job against the Panthers, of course. I didn't want to say it during the game, as I know caster cursing can
Caster
be such a
curse is
real thing.
Pretty
Such a
rough
real
sometimes.
thing. Absolutely. As UNI, when they played against St. Ambrose week 1, went 13-6. You can see
Wowee.
that since week 1, they have since improved, winning 13-5.
And let's
Way
look
to
at,
go.
Let's look at these KDAs really quick. Well, I'm sure these boys are probably going to take a quick intermission. Favlet with the match MVP going 25-7.
Pretty crazy.
That is very impressive. Actually, 3 of our boys being on the top of the leaderboard this map. Like I said, they want this win, and I mean, as we've discussed before, Favlet really wants this win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As also you and I going for 11 First Bloods, where St. Ambrose only had 7. I know we kind of mentioned last time in the bronze medal matchup that First Bloods kind of matter a lot, and you can see it right there. You and I able to get 11. So they were able to settle in, I think, in their game plan a lot more better than we did see against the bronze medal matchup. Whereas that first map was Fracture, and again, that bronze medal matchup was kind of like a hee funny, like no one really took it too seriously, you know?
Oh, and they were exhausted for that bronze matchup, remember?
Yeah, because they were playing the LAN tournament before.
Oh, yeah, and that's a lot of
that game
hours
that
of
weekend.
Valorant.
Yeah. But here they are finally refreshed, and just like week 1, able to go ahead and get the win on Lotus.
Yeah, that rest that they got was definitely needed, as we can see here. They come back with fresh minds, and they just dominate.
Absolutely. As while we are in between matches here, if you want to go ahead, do exclamation point merch. That'll take you to our Guardian Pro line, where we have a good selection of t-shirts, hoodies, and fully customizable jerseys, where you can rep UNI Panther Esports both on and off campus. So if you want to go ahead and support esports, go ahead and get some merch today. Now, going into map number 2, it is going to be UNI on the defense on Haven. What do you like about Haven? What do you not like about Haven, Berkey?
You know, I like Haven because it's, once again, one of those attack-sided maps. But at the same time, it's very easy to play retake on that or on the B and C side. My apologies. I'm not a big fan of A site personally. It's just it's hard to retake, it's hard to hold. Or no, it's easy to hold, it's hard to retake. My apologies. But it's definitely a map that we can work with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those interesting maps, which, again, I think it benefits UNI when they play the 3-site maps, because they have a lot more flexibility on offense, and with their B-site defense being relatively strong at this level, kind of really helps them, because if we look at a 2-point map or a 2-site map, they're going to struggle a little bit more because they don't have the flexibility. And when they have to deal with the head-on kind of defense, players like Favlet or Pop-Tart, who are on the flanker side and really excel on the flanking, you don't get that opportunity as much. But here we are on Haven, and UNI currently winning 1-0 in the series in a best of 3. So they're looking to close it out here and advance to round 2.
When you were saying we usually get the Pop-Tart or Favlet lurk, but it looks like we're not going to be getting either of those this round, whereas Pop-Tart is on a duelist and Favlet on the Sova. Maybe we'll see a Raging Remy lurk.
That would be interesting. As
Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart already.
Spike down.
Oh my goodness, 3 members of St. Ambrose go down, and the Fighting Bees are just down to Cypher and
Looks like
Omen.
not Bert and Tones are going to be the last two alive for the St. Ambrose team.
UNI will have Pop-Tart and Remy.
Last player standing.
Oh, and Bert with the right timing there with the ghost. Oh, Pop-Tart on the reload. Has to take out Not Bert. Can't. And Not Bert with 4 in the opening round.
4 and on a lurk. We're going to see a lot of lurking this map. And I wonder if UNI and St. Ambrose are going to be able to shut it down on their defensive halves.
Absolutely. So UNI coming out with a little interesting kind of defense here. What do you make of this composition?
It's not a composition that I have seen UNI typically run. We typically have that double initiator comp with a single duelist, a smokes, and then we usually have Pop-Tart on the Sentinel. But as we saw last week, UNI definitely is trying to change things up a little bit.
Oh, and Ovi's going to get blinded. 3 members quickly go down for St. Ambrose in the Fighting Bees, trying to take out A. Tone's able to get the answer there against Beefman. We're back down to a 2v2 situation, Berkey.
One enemy remaining.
Fablet getting wave. Fablet getting 3 and a thrifty for UNI.
Able to go ahead and tie it up 1-1 early. And UNI doing a great job at kind of bouncing back, not having to, you know, force a buy into this round, and we're kind of equal on the eco now.
Yeah, we will now see St. Ambrose is going to be on a very interesting buy. Since that was their initial buy, they're going to be on kind of another half buy save situation, whereas this is UNI's buy round. So those who didn't pick up a Spectre last round are going to have guns.
Standing ahead.
And it looks like it's going to be a slow push towards B side as DZ going to take out Beefman. Again, just kind of slow creeping along.
Pop-Tart's going to get
That-
scanned out there.
Ubi going to go ahead throw up the neon wall.
We're going to see all of UNI has rotated towards that C site.
Disappear.
Oh, and Pop-Tart able to take out Ubi.
Making this even once again. Hopefully UNI can capitalize off of this, but unfortunately they completely gave up that A site.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to the A site push. It looks like Tones will go ahead and get the plant down. Fablet trying to get a couple Sova darts in there for Recon, and Fablet able to take out Wave Check. That's pretty big.
Mr. Clap's getting not burnt, and it's going to be a 3v2 where
One enemy remaining.
unfortunately Pop-Tart is very low.
And he's going to go ahead pick up the Vandal. Pop-Tart going to try and stick the bomb.
And he's gonna be
Fablet
able
able to... Yeah, after Fablet was able to go ahead and take out DZ there down in hell. And again, UNI just kind of executing their game plan very well.
I think that map 1 win really set the bar for this UNI team, really started their drive, gave them a kick in the right direction.
I completely agree, Berkey. I think it's just one of those things where UNI coming out strong, you're at 5-5 in map 1, and then things just start to click. You're hitting your shots, you're getting your game plans, you're faking out these rotations and these counter rotations, and just, again, well executed, very calm and collected play.
You're going to see the Sova ult come out from Fablet. Doesn't tag anyone though. He's trying to shut down that lurk mid.
Pop-Tart able to take out Ubi, but DZ gets him traded out. Favelet taking out Wave Check, but DZ taking out Favelet. So it's going to be a 3v3 scenario here as here comes, say, Ambrose on B.
Completely just had to push Beefman off of site there. And Tone sees up Beefman. It's going to be a 2v2 retake.
Oh, DZ recognizing Mr. Circlaps,
One enemy remaining.
using the clone, and a really nice defense there on the plant by St. Ambrose. And we're tied, Berkey.
Once again.
Once again.
We're just going to keep going back and forth, I think. Round for
I
round.
completely agree. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. However, I do feel like St. Ambrose, especially on that week 1, game 3, they did play on Haven, and it looks like St. Ambrose won that game 13-7. So again, it's going to be a close one here, Berkey, but we're going to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, this is definitely a St. Ambrose map pick. You can just tell by kind of how they work the map that they're just extremely comfortable on their offense.
And Beefman already taken out Ubi there with the Outlaw. Tries to find 2, can't. He's going to go ahead and get utiled out.
But not Bert and Tones are going to be 1. Easy gets...
Last player standing.
And that missed timed shot
Spike planted.
by Beefman can't quite get it done. And it's going to be a 1v3 for Pop-Tart. But like you said, Berkey, 2 members on low HP for St. Ambrose. Tart going to go ahead and wait till the right moment, or he's going to save. What do you think?
I could see a Pop-Tart save, but at the same time, he could just be expecting someone to try and push him.
It doesn't look like as he's going to go ahead and let the bomb cook off. And Pop-Tart will go ahead and save.
Yeah,
So he didn't want to force the hand.
Definitely hurting right now, so I'm not upset with this save, for sure.
Even though you know that both the Cypher and Omen are one tap, do you not want to risk them losing the eco, or what's the thought there? I
know that they're already both one tap. They're gonna have to repurchase shields regardless, and in all honesty, a gun is a lot more valuable than a shield, and so trying to keep a gun up for the UNI team is definitely just the better play, in my opinion.
Looks like San Ambrose is going to go ahead and push through a sewer.
Tripwire destroyed.
However, 2 members of UNI are going to be stacked there for the defense. Raging Remy gets flashed out. He's going to have to run away. And with the judge for the Neon, that could be deadly. Through the smoke, not Bert finds one.
Pop-Tart's gonna pull not Bert.
And Pop-Tart able to get him.
And it's gonna be a 4v4 retake.
Oh, Beefman able to find one. Couple members get trading out, and it's going to be a 1v2. Beefman goes down, and the deficit extends to 2 for UNI.
Like I said, unfortunately, this Haven map, it's just A-site is really difficult to retake on. You only really have 2 options to push from unless you get flank, and with that Cypher still being alive, flank is almost non-viable.
So what do you think, like, the composition for UNI, you know, our typical flank players of Pop-Tart and Favelet, they're not kind of on that flanking role. Do you think that's playing into this deficit here, or do you think UNI is just needing to execute a little bit more better on the game plan?
I think it's more the fact that UNI is kind of being pushed into a very rough position, especially with these quick pushes, a lot of sightseeing detail. Pop-Tart getting Ubi, but Tone's trading out. It looks like
St. Ambrose.
Fablet was able to get the lurk.
One enemy remaining.
And Beefman able to pick up one through the smoke. Gonna force out the Sova ult.
Very interesting Sova ult, in my opinion. Just, you're in a 1v4 situation. I feel like maybe you try to save that for whenever you have bomb down, but I don't know. I don't play Initiator, so I'm just thinking what my Sentinel Smokes player brain is thinking.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. And again, I think you're right. I feel like he was trying to clutch the end of the play there. Like maybe he had a little bit of a guess, maybe a little bit of luck. Popping that Sova ult because you know that the whole entire team is defending C. So if you can get 1 or 2 picks there, maybe you kind of commit full. However, you just didn't hit any of your shots. You get shot by Fablet. It's a lose-lose scenario in my opinion.
We are going to see another B site execution from St. Ambrose. Where Mr. Sir Claps gets taken out early.
Spike down B.
And Remy, Fablet able to find one with the Sova ult. However, the answer for 2 for St. Ambrose. And it's going to be a 2v3 retake. However, Beefman, low on HP, gets taken out by Not Burt.
Very unfortunate situation where Fablet is also 1 HP, and he doesn't know where this St. Ambrose team is playing.
Dart comes out, and DZ, though, able to get 3 that round. And that's another thing that we need to mention here is just DZ is a very skilled player for the St. Ambrose team. I feel like if UNI is able to pick him out in the earlier, I guess, time of the round, UNI kind of plays a lot more comfortably. They execute a little bit better when he's out of the picture. However, you know, you see ones like Wave Check will usually step up. We've seen a little bit of Not Burt in those early rounds be able to step up as well. So UNI is going to need to kind of focus on maybe someone other than their all-stars to really kind of battle back here.
It's definitely also very difficult for this UNI team because, like, as you said, DZ is a very strong player. And Pop-Tart gets Wave Check and Ubi.
Cutting through.
So as we're going to see, DZ is still very much alive.
You can't play safe knowing that DZ's somewhere around the map, especially on the Tejo.
Raging Remy gets the lurk, Not Burt. And it's going to kind of pinch St. Ambrose into this A push.
DZ, though, he's going to try and force out, able to get 1. However, Fablet gets the trade out. And it's all going to come down to Tones.
Tones gets 2.
So it's going to be a 2v1 situation as Tone's going to fake the plant. He's going to go ahead work around towards Hell. And through the smoke as it goes away, Tones with 3. And it's going to come down to Beef versus Tones.
30 seconds left.
And it's unfortunate there, too, that... Yeah,
Planted.
the Guardian.
It definitely helps that Tones is 1. Let's not forget, Tones is very low, and so as long as Beefman can connect a bullet, he should have this round.
Yeah, but he's got to get there in just enough time. He can't spend too much time trying to focus out, but he will go ahead, get 1, and gets taken out.
Tones
4 for
4.
Tones.
That's a really rough round for UNI to lose, especially with being up so much in numbers. And it kind of shows to what you were saying, how this St. Ambrose team, they really know how to step up when they need to. They don't rely on DZ. Once DZ gets taken out, they have someone else to try and take his place.
Yeah, and right now St. Ambrose kind of hitting their stride. Like you've mentioned earlier, Berkey, this was their pick. And you can see it here as St. Ambrose pushing their advantage to 3 rounds, the largest lead that they've had while winning this series.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how UNI kind of responds to this 3-round lead that they have.
Let's see if they can bounce back here. As it looks like St. Ambrose is a little bit split. Some garage, some sewer.
Definitely an interesting push from St. Ambrose.
Yeah, they kind of fake it to go through the midway through. However, they just... I guess I don't know what they're trying to go for.
I think they're just trying to pull out as much util as possible. Maybe try to work the sites. Really get this UNI team as much as they can.
Tones will go ahead, use the Omen ult. He's going to be on top of boxes on A. Pop-Tart with the Bucky finds wave check through the smoke. Tones is going to try and find one. Can't. And Ubi with the Bucky, or excuse me, Pop-Tart with the Bucky. Finding three, he finds four!
With the Bucky.
Oh my gosh. How intense was that?
Wow,
Taking the trench sweeper. Taking the trench sweeper and just walking through the fighting bees, why don't you?
I'm just, you know what? If it works, it works. That's all I have to say about that, because that was something. That was
masterful.
That was a show.
Absolutely. So you and I has to be feeling good about that, wouldn't you think, Berkey? You get a little chip on your shoulder.
Oh, for sure.
You cut the deficit to 2. Absolutely.
And that was a save round for UNI. Yeah, they bought a couple Buckies, but overall, it was very much a half-buy save round from them. And that was a very big round. They definitely needed that.
But not Burt with the Vandal taking out Mr. Circlops there. And it looks like it's going to be a C garage push for St. Ambrose. They're going to fake over to C site.
And Raging Remy getting Ubi. But DZ trading him out, unfortunately.
Yeah, again, DZ just doing a great job offensively. However, he's going to get taken out by Pop-Tart. Beefman finds not Burt. Tone finally taking out Pop-Tart. And with nobody on C site for defense,
one enemy remaining.
We'll go ahead and get the plant.
1v2 retake for UNI.
Nice drone coming out. As it looks like Tones is going to go ahead and a nice dart coming out from Favelet.
Yeah, getting the information on Tones there was huge.
The spike is diffused.
Really huge play by UNI, cutting the deficit now down to 1, where at one point it was, I believe, 6-3.
Yeah, it was a 3-round deficit. And you know, on an attack-sided map, getting 4 or 5 rounds on the defensive side is huge. It just makes you feel so much better going into the next attacking half, especially when you know you have a strong attack.
Oh, yeah. And it's the last round before the swap. Berkey, what's UNI doing here?
I think UNI is going to try and stick to what they're doing. Just really try to get out that lurk. Really just force heavy pushes from this St. Ambrose team. Alright, looks like UNI is going to fully give up B for retake.
Shadows traveling.
And here comes the Neon ult for St. Ambrose. They're going to go ahead and push towards that B site. And the Tejo ult coming out as well. Pop-Tart has to force his way through. Able to find one. However, UNI losing Mr. Circlops. And Beefman able to get some information there from Tones, however, doesn't get the pickup. Beefman able going down in Favelet as well. It's all going to come down to Raging Remy. And with that, UNI will go ahead and force it to a 7-5 half in favor of St. Ambrose.
You know, and sometimes, typically, someone would be worried for this, but like I said before, this is definitely an attack-sided map. I believe if UNI can work the map, have the lurks that they usually have, I think they can definitely thrive on this 3-side map.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, knowing where that cipher is might be very big for UNI. Being able to really just avoid it at all costs.
Mr. Circlaps and Pop-Tart out the gate find 2 members of St. Ambrose. And they're going to push hard A.
I don't think UNI knows that. St. Ambrose has a member here.
One enemy remaining.
But DZ going down and Tones as well. It's going to be a 1v5 for Not Burt. However, he clutched up in round 1. He was able to pick up 4.
Not Burt. Let's see what happens.
All right, POV of greatness right here.
POV 1v5 retake. Let's see
And on
what
25
happens.
HP.
Oh man. You know, I've seen greater comebacks, you know?
Not Burt, gonna step through. And Pop-Tart, good for 3 that round. Flawless round coming out for UNI. They'll go ahead and push the deficit now down to 1, 7-6 for St. Ambrose.
Huge round for UNI, getting their second pistol round of the series.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
You gotta be feeling good. Getting those pistol
Oh.
rounds back in.
Goes there.
Absolutely. And again, if UNI can force another strong buy round, that would be huge as well.
And also, a strong bonus would be pretty big for them as well.
Here comes UNI again along that A side. Mr. Circlaps able to pick out Ubi. And the rotate's going to have to come out from St. Ambrose on the Heaven side. Pop-Tart with the ISO finds 1. Takes out a little bit of util. And going to suppress through the smoke.
And it's going to be a 3v5 retake for St. Ambrose.
Able to take out DZ.
And remind me, which one is Fablet's brother?
That is DZ.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so brother v brother matchup, of course. The round 6, or excuse me, the bronze medal match, pretty important, you know, for the bragging rights at the dinner table. However, if you can say you beat your brother round 1 in nationals, that's gonna last all summer long. I don't care who
That's a different
wins.
type. That's a different
Yeah.
type of bragging rights right there. Sure, you might have won the 3rd place medal match, but I beat you at the first round of nationals. Like,
Yeah, that definitely carries a different weight to it.
oh, it has a different ring to it.
Absolutely.
It sounds
A lot better.
It sounds a little
Yeah.
nicer.
Shadows traveling.
With this, we are tied 7-7. UNI trying to get another bonus round in.
Which
Maybe they could make it happen here.
We've seen him do it. We can see him do it again for sure.
Beefman, UNI, Pop-Tart, Favelet.
That Jones was there.
Ooh, and the location's revealed for Beefman, so some info coming out. I would expect UNI to rotate, however, DZ on the flank. But Pop-Tart able to take out Wave Check.
Remy on a mid lurk. Pop-Tart getting 2, and Mr. Circlops getting Ubi.
But I feel like it's going to come down to this DZ flank towards B. That's going to be the critical play, in my opinion, as we see kind of the lurk down A long.
Mr. Circlops knows he's flank because of that cipher trip that Remy placed.
It's going to come down to, well, good coordination here. DZ finds 1. Pop-Tart finds Not Burt from Heaven. And Mr. Circlaps
Picks up
able to
the
get it done.
flanker.
And just like that, UNI will go ahead and take the first lead of game 2 at 8-7.
Another very strong bonus round from UNI this matchup. First map they had it in their attacking half, and they just did it again on once again their attacking half.
Jump them.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things that I feel like they kind of sat in a good groove later on in the season with these attacks. As Mr. Circlap's taking out DZ early, UNI gonna recognize that no one's on C point, and here comes Mr. Circlaps.
Here.
He's gonna go ahead and use a little bit of his ult. He's gonna go ahead pull in back to the A side.
That's gonna be huge because, as we can see, St. Ambrose already had their Neon rotate.
Yeah, that was a quick rotate for St. Ambrose, catching them out of position again. Favourite gonna go ahead and get the plant.
Raging Remy getting one on the flank.
And it's gonna be a 2v5 retake. A tall order for St. Ambrose here.
Especially on their save round. I mean, nothing's impossible.
Yeah, we can't cast or curse it yet, Berkey.
Oh, no. Never.
We've seen more crazier things happen.
This is true. We've seen a lot of crazy things happen.
One enemy remaining.
Favourite does get a little bit of checks here. Raging Remy taking out Ubi.
Raging Remy almost in their spawn, getting 3.
Yeah, I think Remy did an excellent job on kind of like the mid lurk there.
Oh, especially with that Cypher being gone.
Okay.
It helped. It definitely helped out a lot.
Yeah, so, and like we've normally said, you know, it's either going to be Favourite or Pop-Tart on the flank. However, it's Remy on the flank now as he's playing the Cypher, which is something we don't normally see. And maybe this is throwing off St. Ambrose, as it looks like they will take their first time out of the game to kind of recoup here. I believe this is like a 3 or a 4-0 run for UNI.
Yeah, I think that this is UNI's definitely testing the limits of this St. Ambrose team here. And yeah, I agree. Maybe having Raging Remy on the Sentinel on this map is throwing St. Ambrose off, because I believe the first time that St. Ambrose and UNI faced off in the regular season, wasn't it Pop-Tart that was on the Sentinel? They were
Absolutely.
They were running their typical comp with the Teo Breach, Cypher, Omen. I'm not sure which duelist we typically had Mr. Circlaps play in that comp. Can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember if it was a Jet or a Raze. I feel like it was a
Typically
Jet.
one of those two.
Where are you?
And
Yeah,
now we see
usually.
one of Yoru. We see
Yeah.
one of Yoru.
Goes here.
Right, Yoru, we're seeing an ISO. Like,
ISO.
what is going on?
An ISO from our Sentinel, might I add. Definitely
Right.
not normal.
So, again, this is playing into the hands of UNI. Maybe they're finally slowing it down here out of that timeout. And a very nice, kind of well-placed defense here for St. Ambrose. So, going to be critical here on this game if they want to get an answer.
I definitely think UNI also changing their typical play style is definitely huge. But Wave Check taking out Remy.
And not Bert from window, from heaven's gonna have to deal with a couple members of UNI. Ubi going down, DZ going down.
Not Bert getting taken out as well.
Spike planted.
Wave Check with all the information, gonna have to take him out one by one, but can't. Favourite able to pick up Wave Check. UNI pushing it to 10-7
I believe that
here
was
in game 2.
2 from Favourite and 2 from Pop-Tart, was it?
I believe so.
Very strong round from UNI.
Especially when you're coming out of a timeout like that, especially as St. Ambrose, trying to recoup and try to find some answers here. Unfortunately couldn't, and again, St. Ambrose just not finding the answers for the changes that UNI has made this third time around.
Oh, and those timeouts, they can be detrimental. They can really, really take a toll on the drive of the player in the game. Because you take such a long pause that you're not necessarily ready for it.
Can definitely interrupt the flow state, especially on the opposite team not taking the timeout. And Pop-Tart gonna have to work the corners and wave check with the Bucky. He's able to take out Pop-Tart. And it looks like kind of an awkward buy here for St. Ambrose. Mr. Circlaps will go ahead.
Especially after losing that last round.
Wave check trying to get the answer, and Mr. Circlaps there on A site. Raging Remy taking out DZ.
And we're gonna see a full UNI rotate because they know that they've left C with that pick from Remy on B site.
Yeah, so really
30
well
seconds
placed, or I guess well timed rotate, as Beefman will go ahead and get the plant.
Planted.
Now it's all going to come down to a 2v3 retake. Make that a 2v2 retake as Wave Check gets 3.
One enemy remaining.
Beefman getting wave check, shutting down that potential ace almost.
It looks like UNI 2 away from winning round 1 if they can go ahead and close this out. Berkey, what does UNI need to do here to get the final execution?
Like I've been saying, they just gotta kind of keep doing what they're doing, because obviously it's working, and St. Ambrose doesn't know how to fight back from what they're doing. And I can say it definitely helps with such a strange and abnormal comp from UNI.
And again, it's going to be a kind of 3-1-1 hold, as it looks like St. Ambrose is going to try and work around, trying to see where UNI is going to stack up. However, Mr. Circlaps taking out Tones on B. And Ubi with the Odin, kind of an interesting play. Especially when you're not towards the end of the rounds. But there is a lot of wall banks here on Lotus, wouldn't you say?
Oh, there is.
Berkey?
Those, almost every, like, blue box that we have seen is wall bangable. All these boxes in front of Ubi are bangable through the corners. Like, it's Jenny here,
30 seconds
also
left.
wall bangable. It's a paper thin map, in hindsight. Which makes it such a difficult map to try and play.
All right, so Beefman, go ahead, get the plant, wave check with the op, able to take out Mr. Circlaps, and with Beefman on 1 HP, easy work for DZ, as Ubi will go ahead and get the defuse.
I think now that UNI knows that they have these power weapons, an Odin and an op. Actually, do they still have the Odin? They do not. But they do have that op, so I believe UNI knows that with that op, they really have to try and stretch out this St. Ambrose team. Try to let Pop-Tart take those initial fights with his shield.
Yeah,
They do
and
have a
I
Pop-Tart
also...
ultimate, so we might see that come out here.
Yeah, I mean, that would be one thing to commit. 3 UNI ults to 4 for St. Ambrose. We're getting down to go time.
There we go.
Pulling out wave check. And able to take him out.
And that's the end.
But Tone's able to
Getting
pick up 2.
Playing that
I
top
know
box.
exactly where. Make cover.
Pop-Tart trying to take some space there. And a really nice information gathered. As Ubi will get taken out by Pop-Tart.
That Cypher ult from Remy was pretty big. They know that 2 of them are going to be flanking.
And it's all going to come down to see when Not Burke, if he chooses to drop, whether he'll be caught out by Pop-Tart. Yes, he does, but he does pick up Raging Remy, though. But Mr. Pop-Tart
Pop-Tart with the
gets
ace!
the ace!
And they missed them all.
Holy cow, Berkey.
Match point.
I would just like to say I was spectating him that entire time.
Yes, we will go back.
He got his ace on stream. And we can talk about it later.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's going to ask us, too, when we,
Oh, yeah.
get done broadcasting here. He's definitely going to ask
He's
about
gonna make
that
sure
ace.
that we got that ace on camera.
And
Man,
a really nice job there by Pop-Tart. He pulls in the operator from Wave Check.
You get
gets
those
the-
essential picks.
Yeah,
very early
gets the
in
essential
the
picks.
round.
Walks around Heaven and then
Spike
catches
down
the
A.
2 flankers out from DZ. And I forget the other player. But just a really kind of good series here. But Pop-Tart going to get taken out by Wave Check there with the judge.
Those shotguns are no joke. UNI definitely needs to be careful playing with them. Beefman getting the lurker. This could force a UNI rotate.
Yeah, and it looks like they will go around the B side. However, St. Ambrose will recognize this. Go ahead and
Cover going out.
put Tones there as well.
Blinding.
Beefman will go ahead, teleport around behind boxes, able to
And
find
get
Tones. Ooh, Sova ult coming out for St. Ambrose does tag Beefman, prevents him from the plant.
Beefman did
And it's all
also
gonna-
kind of run
Last
into
player
the solo
standing.
ult.
Spike down.
Well, we're not going to mention that.
Unfortunately, that's just kind of what happened.
Last player standing.
Remy, though,
Remy-
able to find
Remy
2.
with 3!
And UNI will go ahead and take round 1 against St. Ambrose. Favelet, congratulations on beating your brother for the first time this spring season.
That'll be huge, and I would hate to be at that dinner table, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Pop-Tart with 31 kills. I didn't even
And
know
a-
he had that many.
I didn't know he had that many either. However, his critical play on the ISO, St. Ambrose was not looking for it. He had him on the lurks. He had that ace. And I feel like UNI really executed well on the timing of their play. Of course, it really helps too when your Sentinel players aren't playing Sentinels and you have your typical duelist on a Yoru for some weird reason. And it's just one of those things where UNI was able to keep St. Ambrose guessing. And because of it, UNI able to advance to the next round.
And you see, once again, First Bloods, UNI with 11 and St. Ambrose with 9. Just showing really how... Oh, my apologies. UNI with 12. I missed a number. My bad. But we really see how crucial these First Bloods are in this scenario.
Absolutely, I agree. If you had to pick a player of the game, who would it be and why?
I think I'd almost have to say Favelet. Favelet or Pop-Tart. Those would have to be my picks. Favelet
Yeah, I would
had
have to
huge
agree.
information and huge kills. I mean, Pop-Tart really stepped up both games and was just letting them know that he's not here to mess around.
Absolutely, I'd have to agree with that. I think if I had to choose, I feel like if we're talking about, like the 2-game series like we saw, I would definitely have to give it to Pop-Tart. Of course, we see him kind of pop off here in game number 2. However, in game number 1, I feel like he had some very critical retake situations.
Oh yeah, he had some very critical moments in that game 1.
Yeah, especially playing the Vise. The Vise is so critical in sort of kind of walling off and re-engaging on that C site. So again, Mr. Mr. Circlap's able to go ahead and get a lot of those kills, though, especially Favourite. But I feel like, on whole, Pop-Tart did a really good job at executing.
He was definitely on his A game today, and we definitely saw that throughout both maps.
Yeah. So if we could do an interview, let's see who we can go ahead and pull. Okay, so it looks like we are going to go ahead and interview Beefman. Sorry, your coach Volin told you you're going to go ahead and get interviewed. So are you here, Beef?
I am here.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win today, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Whole team really pulled through today. We did great.
Yeah, you're going in basically winless against St. Ambrose. You lose in the regular season. You lose in the bronze medal match. What was kind of the thoughts going into this matchup against St. Ambrose, knowing that they've already beat you twice?
So this time we did our homework. We VOD review the heck out of the last couple games, out of St. Ambrose's last couple games, and we pulled out with a couple things, a couple pointers, a couple habits they do, and I think that we've never really done this. We say we'll do it, but this is the first time we've really done it, and I think it really showed, especially on Haven. But yeah, we did a lot of homework for this game, and I think that really made a difference, and it's great.
What do you think? What change was so critical that you guys made this time around? I know we saw like the Sentinel players playing like initiators, and we saw Mr. Circlaps on the Yoru. What do you think, in your opinion, was kind of the linchpin here from that VOD review?
From that VOD review, we kind of figured out. I think it showed most obviously on attack, where we won 8 out of 9 rounds on attack. We noticed how weak their A site was, with just a initiator and a duelist that are trying to fight A long. And we just kind of had Mr. Circlaps take some space on C to prevent the rotates, and then we just hit A super hard using the mobility of Yoru. So we were kind of anti-stratting. And for attack, we noticed that almost every single one of their attack rounds, they have a lot of grass presence. So we kind of built our defense around that a bit. It wasn't as successful as the offense, but they're a good team, so I think we did a lot better than our previous outings against St. Ambrose.
Berkey, you got any questions?
And yeah,
Would y'all say that y'all got y'all's revenge? Got y'all's lick back?
I wouldn't call it revenge.
got y'all's win. All right, y'all. We've seen the previous games against them this season.
I mean, we still love these guys. This is still our favorite team to play against. But yeah, I'll say little brother Fablet finally showing big brother Deheezy who's boss.
Yeah. What was your kind of thoughts, especially on that map too? You guys as a whole had some pretty clutch moments. I think there was a flawless. Maybe take us through the 4-man Bucky play that I believe Pop-Tart had?
Was that? Because neither of us could keep up with what was going on.
Yeah, what round is this? Round 11? No. Round 10. Yeah, this is a pretty crazy retake. What are we watching? We're watching your epic Bucky play. You want to hear? Why don't you go through
I don't even know what. So
yeah, go ahead, give us a first-hand account.
Go ahead and tell us what was going
round
on.
10.
So I mean, I sat in the smoke, which I was gonna peek, um, that Sova because I know he was in the corner, but he ended up going through the smoke. Thankfully, I had a Bucky. Uh, and then I started getting sprayed at once I put my shield up. So I just threw my shield up. Beef had an amazing blind. I got the neon, and then the Omen and the Cypher were both blinded, and I got both of them. And then, oh, Beef takes the Vandal because I was trying to get my ace, but this man took the Vandal and got Billy's brother. And I wanted
Hey,
one.
you got an
but
ace later.
You did get.
I
your
did end
ace,
up getting an
okay?
ace. I did end up getting an ace later. But yeah, no,
Now,
I'm
talk-
Probably not
actually
through
throwing the
that.
game for your ego.
talk to us about that ace. What kind of happened? Was it just
I mean-
timing?
I honestly like. I guess yeah. I'm surprised the Cypher didn't peek me after I killed that Neon. Um, and I'm surprised he wasn't aware that I could just push up to their spawn and go heaven. So yeah, I mean that ultimately like I guess got me the ace. I think I almost ran out of ammo on the Omen. I was actually worried because I wanted the ace so badly. Um, but I'm just happy that we got the win finally against that team.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the intro, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. So you guys were, according to Berkey, you got your lick back,
I
and
did.
you were able to take out DZ, which, in my opinion, at that dinner table, with Favelet and whatnot, saying like, oh, I beat my brother twice, once in the regular season, once in the bronze medal match. But if you can say, I beat my brother in the first round of nationals, I think that's got a little more weight to it, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah, that
Ooh.
matters more.
Personally,
that
I
matters
hate
more.
to be at that dinner table. I hate to
What
be
does
at
D-
that dinner
what
table.
does DQZ have to say about this?
Oh, man.
The tension will be through the roof this Easter.
Oh, it'll be rough.
Absolutely. So, Pop Tart, is there any kind of situation? I know you guys kind of VOD reviewed a lot here, but is there anything that stuck out to you that kind of aided you in beating this SAU team?
Well, honestly, I probably warmed up for 3 hours today, playing death matches in Osu and everything. I was literally just playing death matches and TDMs like the entire time. I'm on my 3rd energy drink too, so
Oh, you're
whatever
locked in.
works.
He's cranked
Oh,
up
gosh.
out the wazoo.
But no, I mean like I really even from the LAN, I really like this ISO Yoru comp. Even though we had Monty on Yoru and then we had Collapse on Clove. And I mean Claps isn't no Monty Yoru, but it'll do, But hey, I'm happy that I got to actually frag instead of Claps for once, I let Claps actually sit back and do or not have to do too much this time.
I can't
Yeah,
wait to see
so-
what he has to say about that one.
His calls got us a win. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean,
we-
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is there anything that you think that the shot caller, did you guys communicate more? Do you think that's kind of what aided in it too?
Yeah, I think we just wanted to keep our energy up because I think when we played them last time and then we played on, I think it was Bind and then Haven, I think our energy went down because we blew them out and then we're like, oh, this might be just easy, and it wasn't, and then we ended up losing. And I think our energy just went down.
Yeah.
Also, like I've said this to Claps as of late. I think when I just play Sentinel, sometimes I feel worthless because I'm just sitting back and not doing much. So like when I get to play like ISO, for example, I get to actually feel like I'm doing an impact. Also plus like all the action I get to get like being in the front and trying to take the site. So and then I'm like consistently warm, I guess, if that makes sense. But no, I think what worked is that we kept trying to fake C, which kind of got them to rotate over, but some of them stayed. I think later in the game they started staying a little bit more, and I mean we had some casualties getting onto site. Of course, we had Remy clutch up that last round, which was huge. So
Absolutely. Berkey, do you get any more questions?
I do not.
All right. So the hardest question, potentially, of this whole interview, we'll start off with beef, and then we'll go to Pop Tart. Beef, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh man.
It depends if you cook it with the rest of the pizza. You do not put raw pineapple on your pizza.
I
But
agree.
if you have like cooked pineapple on your pizza, that's actually kind of fire. See,
Pop Tart,
I
what do you think?
I don't mind it, but it has to be with Canadian bacon. So it's like
yeah,
Hawaiian.
definitely.
It has to be
Hawaiian
like
pizza.
yeah. No, it can't just be pineapple alone. You know, like pepperoni solos.
I
You
don't
know,
think
you gotta
anyone is
you gotta
putting
have the
pineapple on
pepperoni.
alone though.
So
I
that
mean, there's probably some weirdos. You know.
I bet
Some
Jaeger does it.
vegetarians.
What?
Yeah, no, it's definitely Berkey. What are you talking about?
Ew.
Actually, no, it's probably Monty. Monty would.
No, Monty wouldn't.
Monty would.
Uh,
You seen that guy? You seen his hair?
Anyway, before we start profiling,
Oh man.
I guess the one follow-up question that I did have for both of you is, what do you think you most improved upon this season? We'll start with beef.
Hmm. I have a funner idea. How about Pop Tart says what he thinks I'm most improved on, and I say what I think he's most improved on.
Oh man.
Okay,
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
let's see. Throughout the season, I would say Beef has taken a lot better gunfights. Beginning of the season, he would peak a little bit too much, and I would do the same. I'm not gonna disagree. Uh, but I do have the swinger be swung mentality, which I also think I also think that is a big reason why I like playing ISO.
This guy.
um, I would say like if anything, Beef is really smart with his utility. I know when I got 2 on long on defense, he smoked instantly so I can get out, which was huge. And then we ended up losing that round somehow. Um,
Yeah.
But now Beef is always looking to make the team better. It's not about his kills sometimes. It's about his assists.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, my turn to glaze up Pop Tart.
Oh jeez.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, aside from like the obvious mechanic improvements, well, I suppose they're not so obvious. I think you've gotten like a bit better. Like you were already pretty good, but besides just the mechanical stuff, I do think you've also gotten a lot better at like making calls, like mid-round calls and playing as a team more. Although you still are trying to throw the game for your aces.
Hey man, ace is ace.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, I think all 5 of us were alive or something like that. And I mean, like, I had to peek.
Yeah.
What was I gonna do? Chase him down with a
I had to
bucky?
peek.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was looking at the ground. There's 2 buckies on the ground because I was like, "Oh, he took the vandal. Let me go try to find another one." There's no vandal in sight. I was like, only buckies on the ground. I'm like, what is going on?
I'll also say I think your mental has gotten a lot better.
That is something that I think I have best throughout the team is that I always try to keep a good mental. That's what I do in
Oh,
comp.
actually one of my favorite things about this season is you giving our lower ranked players, Beef Fan and Raging Remy, some in-person tips. Or not in person, but mid-round tips and shit.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
think.
although I hate you and I think you're super annoying, I love them because we
Ah,
win more.
what does that mean?
No, I love you. I love you, Jake. I'm your number one
No.
fan.
I mean, like before the game, me and Remy kind of went onto Haven and went over his setups
Yeah, I
because
liked
as a
that.
Cypher main, it makes me mad watching some dumb setups. And I mean, I think it's what's crazy is I haven't played Cypher in probably like like it's been a while since I played Cypher.
Yeah. True, man.
But-
KO does some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
R.I.P.
But I could throw some crazy trips and make that not matter.
Whoa, big dog out here.
I mean, I have almost 600 matches on Cypher. I mean,
All right,
let's
enough
get this guy
glazing
off the
yourself.
microphone.
Enough glazing. You know
All
what?
right,
Yeah,
all
you're
right.
right.
You
You're
lost
right.
the
I'm getting
talking
him out of
stick.
here.
all right.
See you later, Jake. Thanks for playing.
Oh no, he kicked him out. You kicked him out, man.
Get,
I
get
did.
this
Dang.
guy
I'll get him
off
back
the
in. I'll get him
talking
back
stick.
No, it's fine because the interview's over anyway.
Interview's over.
Interview's over.
No more talking stick.
No more talking stick.
No more. Sick of you guys.
All right, Berkey. Any final thoughts as we wrap up today's game?
I'm proud of you guys.
Aw.
I've seen y'all grow a lot. Considering that last time I played against y'all was last semester, I've seen y'all grow a lot, and I'm definitely very proud of y'all, and it shows. I'm always here. #1 fan.
Yeah,
Right
#1
here.
fan. Good job.
And I can't wait to see how y'all's nationals run goes.
Right. Well, yeah. Congrats, Beef, on the win. I think this was the first time you guys ever won nationals. So I think this is the first time you
It's
guys
the first
ever
time
been
we've
to
been to
national.
nationals.
Hey, 100% win rate so far. So
Heck
keep it up.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so good job on the win today. We'll talk to you later. And as we go ahead and wrap up here, if you're interested in supporting UNI Panther Esports and want to see more national runs potentially, I'm not going to guarantee anything. Go ahead, do exclamation point merch. That'll take you to our Guardian Pro line where we have a decent selection of t-shirts, hoodies, and fully customizable jerseys. So if you want to rep UNI Panther Esports on and off campus, go ahead and get some merch today. UNI will go ahead and take the sweep against a rival St. Ambrose University, where finally you can't beat a good team 3 times in a row. UNI winning it in nationals. Next week, UNI will go ahead and face either Concordia St. Paul or Simon Fraser University. Gonna be an interesting matchup. See how far UNI Valorant can make a run in nationals. Well, we'll see you next week to find the result on that. For Berkey in production and the booth, thanks again for joining us, Berkey.
Anytime.
And my name is Hunter. We'll see you next time for UNI Valorant. And like always, go Cats.